This is Wolf Phototech coming directly to you through the power of the internet, and this is going to be a really quick video. First and foremost, the PlayStation Network is currently having issues as of the production of this video at 9:12 p.m. on September 6th. Okay? Sony's trying to figure out why it's having trouble. So, the second thing is that let's not forget that tomorrow, September 7th, 2016, at 9 a.m., there's going to be a Sony PlayStation press conference or press event, and this is the event that is supposedly going to show off the next incarnation of the PlayStation 4. Now, according to various rumors and bits and pieces, there will be two models of PlayStation 4, two new models. The PlayStation Slim, which the images have been leaked out and spread around, and I did not cover earlier. And then there will be the PlayStation 4 Neo. That's the second system. So there's a PlayStation Slim, which has some mild bump-ups in abilities, much like the Xbox One S. And then it will be the PlayStation 4 Neo, which will also have a much higher level of specs. Not exactly stated where it's going to be. There's no solid facts on it, but there's a bunch of rumors that point to a certain range. And I've covered that extensively in past videos, the PlayStation 4 Neo. I also talked in past videos about the concept of the end of generations and the beginning of micro generations or half-step generations, where systems will have a 2.5 version come out, or a 2.25 version, and a 2.5 and a 2.75 version, and then a 3.0 version, and you got that 1.0 version. And so instead of there being a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and then there was also, please note that there in the past there were miniature or micro improvements in various models of PlayStation 1s and 2s and 3s that improve the system ever so slightly. You get a day one PlayStation 1 and a 10th year PlayStation 1. The day one PlayStation 1 has less processing power than the year 10 PlayStation. Okay, that's because Sony tweaked the processors and added a few more hertz in processing power and cleaned up the design so it was more efficient and henceforth ran overall faster. I was talking about the processor, about the hertz thing. And then there's the graphics processor, which also was bumped up just a touch, and a touch here and a touch there. And this has always been a thing. However, it was never really something that Sony pointed out for the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. And even the same extent with the PlayStation Portable and the PlayStation Vita. The difference with the PlayStation Vita was there was hardly any improvements at all in the newer version. They just slimlined it down and got rid of the OLED screen. And went with the regular LCD. I like my old OLED PlayStation Vita. It looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a pretty good system. I'm kidding. You know, it's a Game Gear. I grew up on Nintendo, and I expanded out into non-Nintendo systems right around the time of the N64. N64 GameCube. That's when I started buying non-Nintendo systems. But back to Sony. Well, this is back to Sony. Uh, uh, that is the September 7th event at 9 a.m. Also, they're going to go over all those 2 models of systems, but there's also going to be, on the 13th, another PlayStation press event. And this has been officially announced by Sony themselves for sure. So Sony has 2 press events, one on the 7th and one on the 13th. The September 7th press event is mostly said to be rumored to be worked out to be around the new versions of the PlayStation 4. And the 13th press event is going to be around the PlayStation structural change. I have had people send me documents and talking about stuff like this. Sony has moved its PlayStation division from Japan to the United States and has refocused its entire infrastructure around the United States for its PlayStation division, including changing the name. It used to be PlayStation Computer Entertainment, or SCE, and it's now known as SIE, or Sony Interactive Entertainment. And they pulled all the resources and connected it through on the west board. I can't remember the exact city. I think it's San Francisco. It might be San Francisco. It makes sense. But Sony has refocused its entire PlayStation division into the United States. Why is this? Nintendo is completely annihilating Sony in Japan. The Xbox One is a non-existent system. It sells. This is Microsoft. Xbox One sells like 100 units in a month. Sony ekes out 1,000. Nintendo sells. Sony sells around 1,000 to 5,000 units of their PlayStation 3s and PlayStation 4s and that. Nintendo sells tens of thousands to 20,000 units of each thing in Japan. So Sony is being completely annihilated in Japan. Nintendo is the number 1 platform in Japan. The Wii U is actually a healthy, viable platform in Japan. Same thing with the Nintendo 3DS. The PlayStation 4, if you look at the sales charts, and I actually did a video way back, if you scroll down the list on my channel, you go all the way down, you see this one video where I'm sitting outside and there's this white wall behind me, and in that video I talk about the sales numbers for Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft up to January of this year, yes, January of 2016, and each month Sony and Microsoft to Nintendo sell units, and by what units, like PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, 3DSs sold, new 3DS XLs, 3DS, 2DSs, straight up. Nintendo takes up most of the top 5. The PlayStation 4 and the PS Vita are just touching the top 5. And then Nintendo takes up the rest of the top 5, going down. And then way at the bottom is the Xbox One. So, there you go. And the Xbox 360. Non-existent sales, like 100 units in a month, as I said before. But there we go. That is September 13th. Sony showing off all their games and explaining what is said to be their whole transition from Japan to United States. Incidentally, that happens to also be the week of the Tokyo Game Show, which I have marked on my calendar for the 15th, which I also know, which is said to be the time period in which Nintendo is going to unveil the NX. So, keep your stick on the ice. Please subscribe to my channel. I will post a video talking about that event when it happens. I work full time, so it's most likely going to be in the afternoon like this, or late in the evening. I have a job. I work at a scrapyard, pick up heavy iron all the time. I spent all today in the 90-degree heat stacking batteries. I'm not talking about A and AA and AAA batteries. I'm talking about car batteries, forklift batteries, batteries that weigh 100 pounds, 150 pounds, batteries that are so heavy I had to get the forklift to pick them up because they weigh a ton. I literally had to stack 1-ton batteries onto pallets. I've had people once in a while, every so often, stop through and message me, get a real job. I have a real job. It is probably worse than majority of people. Not worse than majority of people. Weather sucks. Some people suck that come through the business. It's a scrapyard. You get people who come in with cans and copper and batteries and people trying to dump their TVs off. We don't take TVs. Tech recycling strictly is metals, refrigeration equipment, or air conditioning equipment, and most electronics. No TVs. I will throw a link to the website in the description below this video. But I happen to work there, and I'm part of quality assurance, which means I pretty much had to double check everything. So when people stop through my channel and every so often leave a comment or send me a message saying, giving me crap for talking about video games, and tell me I should go outside or send me messages like that, I fucking spend, sorry for the swear word, I spend most of my day outside. I get in at the evening, I watch my videos, I play some video games, I make a video, and that's how it is. And I've kind of figured this out personally through dealing with various people. People who work inside all the time, get a nice sunny hot day, and they want to be outside and have fun. They love it. A lot of people who work outside in the heat, picking up heavy stuff, moving this around, having to run a dozen yards to get a drink, or something, more or less want to stop and spend a few hours inside in the AC, by the fan, enjoy themselves. Now, I'm unfortunate I don't have an AC unit. The outlets are taken up by my video game systems, and the electrical system is not too good in the place I live in. I live in a modified attic. So, at some point, I'm going to save up a ton of money, which I'm doing. I would save up more money if I stop playing video games. And I figured, since I'm a perpetual forever alone guy, and I don't have a girlfriend, and I stopped playing video games, I would have I would have 10,000, 20,000 in no time. I could then just go out and buy in 2 or 3 years, I could just go out and just buy a house with cash, which you cannot do. Realtors really hate that kind of crap, and you pretty much have to work through a realtor, and they're gonna give you shit. Uh, so there we go. Let's see here. Anything else on my calendar? At some point in the future, I'm going to start writing down video game release lists and stuff like that. A long time ago, this is another thing. A long time ago, I used to, on DeviantArt, work in various groups with people, and we had clubs and stuff like that where we created release lists for video games and stuff like that. I was always working on Nintendo and Sony and Sega and a few other companies, mostly Nintendo and Sony, uh, building release lists and everything, updating journals and stuff like that. And it's one of those things I realized a long time ago. This is general fact about Nintendo. Nintendo does a horrible job of constructing release lists for their system. Even when they had their own video game magazine called Nintendo Power, the level of effort Nintendo put into making release lists for their system was abysmal. So this kind of dates back to the N64 era when there was constant. Nintendo would create a long release list, and by modern standards, this is not a long release list, but it was a fairly good release list for systems at that time, and N64 games kept getting pushed back. So right around the GameCube era, from the N64 to the GameCube era, Nintendo just completely gave up on doing release lists and just promoted a handful games at a time. And this is also kind of around the point in time in which Nintendo kind of started. This is one of those things I personally think that helped diminish Nintendo's power and presence in the world, was the fact that it's really hard to come by a good release list for video games for a Nintendo system months in advance. People want to know what's coming when they're going to buy a video game system. They want to know what's coming this month, the next month, the month after that, what's going into the horizon, what is currently on the system, but also what is going into the future. And Nintendo has generally retrograded in quality over the years. Nintendo, from the Wii era and the Wii U era, is mostly a 3-month focus. I'm serious here. When Nintendo has release lists for anything or does their Nintendo Directs, which happened recently, most games that are focused in the Nintendo Direct or any release list by Nintendo is mostly the next 3 months, and then there's a trickle of the next 3 months after that, and then there's possibly a game or two just beyond that. But all their focus is in the first 3 months. So we just had the recent September Nintendo Direct. So it's September, October, November. That is the focus. You notice most of the games are listed in there for those 3 months, and then there's some December and some January, touching January. Just a little. It's just the tip. It's just the tip of January, just touching to January, and then there's a few games, just major franchises, just trickled out from there. So whenever people complain about how many games are coming for a Nintendo system, and the quality of the list, Nintendo has kind of given up trying to do long haul lists projecting far into the future. They mostly just do the next 3 months, the next 3 months, the next 3 months, the next 3 months, with just that little tail or sprinkle of games just past that 3 months, but it's pretty much the next 3 months. Uh, this was going to be my entirely Sony event and video, and it turned into me talking about Nintendo event and rumor NX release announcement, announcement and Tokyo Game Show, and then it turned into me ranting about Nintendo game lists. So, thank you very much for watching my channel. Please consider subscribing to my channel. If there's anything you want me to cover more of, please tell me in the comments below. If you have any corrections to any detail in my video, please put them in the corrections in the comments below. Every so often, I fudge a number here and there. I'm not terribly good with numbers, and I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers, you post a comment in the bottom pointing out 5 or 6 errors, and I freak out and start cussing you out in the comment section. I'm not like that, okay? I don't do that. If I say something or do something which is incorrect, and I stop and think about it, and I look at the information, and I realize I am incorrect, I will say sorry, and I'll thank you for informing me of the mistake. And I always like it when people leave me links to articles and stuff like that. So I could learn from those things. I have been playing a lot of my Nintendo 3DS, and I've also been playing a little bit of this guy. I picked this guy up at Semi-Fair for $60. It's in rather immaculate condition. I didn't get any games with it, but since I collect video games, and I happen... Sonic Triple Trouble. And since I buy video games in large bulk lots, I often will get video games for systems I do not own, which is odd because there's not very many video game systems I do not own. Mostly super old stuff, like a Fairchild Channel F, and super new stuff. That is usually what I don't have. I have pretty much the vast bulk of stuff that came out between the late 1980s and the early 2000s. This is actually not a bad game, actually. I need to go find that battery pack I got in a lot for it. So, yet again, thank you for watching my video. Please give my channel a chance. I ebb and flow in production of number of videos, but to be noted, so do a lot of other YouTubers. A lot of the younger YouTubers, kids, and young teenagers mostly peak in production of videos in the summer when they get off of school. I have the exact opposite. I work like a dog from late spring through the summer into the fall, and then in the winter, scrap prices go down. People don't want to haul in iron in the snow, in the ice, and I get reduced hours in the winter, or if it's really bad, just laid off, period. So then my number of videos I produce skyrockets through the roof. So if you go back to my channel, go back to December, January, February, you notice there's a lot of videos there. There's a lot of videos in February, March, and April. There's a huge spike. That is just the period right before I go back to work. And then June, July, August, is a lull in number of videos. So it's the reverse. If you follow a lot of YouTube channels like HMK and all those others, and all the channels by teenagers, kids, teenagers, very young adults, you'll notice that they peak in production number of videos, a lot of news videos in the summer, and it drops as school kicks in, and then it picks up again when school lets out. I'm the exact opposite, as I said before. In the spring, late spring, I dip just as I go into summer because I have tons of hours I have to work, and it's really hot. And between doing videos and doing YouTube, I rather play video games. And then when it gets into late fall, when everything starts slowing down and it's getting colder, I peak a little bit more. As it gets colder, I peak more in videos. And then in the winter, when I get laid off, I spike in videos, and then late spring I start dropping. So you follow me, you follow a few others. When they drop in quantity of videos due to school and work, I increase, and when I decrease, they increase. So it's a balance. So yay for you. So thank you very much for watching my video yet again. As I said before, please give my channel a chance, and please comment in the section below, vote on the video, and all kinds of stuff. I really want some feedback. I really like some feedback, okay? There is no crazy graphics or anything. There's no intro song or anything because I have a tight budget, and extra bits uploaded that don't do us any good is just not my thing. I want to just keep my channel as dirt simple as possible. Just so you know, in the future, I was talking about doing like reviews for Godzilla movies and doing reviews for video games and doing all kinds of stuff like that. Just so you know, I've reconsidered my whole thing based around my work hours and everything else. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to schedule any of that. I'm going to, first and foremost, focus on news. So when something happens and I can actually put the time down on it, I will make a video on that. And then on slow news days where there's no news about Nintendo and Sony and that little sphere, I will then put together a review for something. My next two reviews will be Gojira, the 1954 Gojira. I have the collector's edition of that. I've been a big fan of Godzilla, and the disc is not in the case because I'm watching it like crazy, making notes. And then the other review will be Godzilla Monsters for the NES, and then I'll do a flip review on Godzilla King of the Monsters, the American version of Gojira. So those are my next three reviews that I'm planning on when there is a lull in news, okay? From there on, I'm going to try to work in some more Godzilla movie reviews because Godzilla Resurgence is coming, and I will filter in some more video game reviews, not necessarily just Godzilla, some other systems for a little variety, but I'll mostly focus about video game news and stuff like that. I mostly play retro video game systems. Old Game Boy games, Game Boy old DS games, Game Gear. Well, Game Gear's new to me. Uh, some more PlayStation, PSP, and PS Vita. The nice OLED model. Go forth from there. Thank you for watching yet again. Thank you for hearing that for the fourth or fifth time, and have a wonderful day.